Hi all, today I'm just going to share you some of the ways we can import and do a data modeling. So this is my project file, it's a sample file, and we have project name, all the data information and operational status, issues, risk mitigation phase, project owner, etc. So it's very important for you to understand uh, the data types, like what does it indicate. So uh, here it's more like on a project level, so it's just project details, and so we can like do a count of project and group it. So uh, this can be used as a fact table, but mostly projects will have a lot of subtable which will talk about like task and subtask. However, in this case, I'm just going to show how I can how you can convert a flat table into a data model so that we can dice and filter and see what are the different groupings. So in short, anything transactional like date and count and time, etc., will keep adding. So those are like fact data, and anything that you can group. So in this case, if I do this one, so I want to see as a customer how many projects have been delayed and how many are on track. Similarly, you can see what is the issue status and what are the risk, etc. So and what phase it is in, and who are the other details, who are the project owner, project lead, and those kind of things. So it's very important to have some, or rather, like a pretty good idea about what your data is and what the customer wants, and then you can kind of load it. Then you can kind of see how you're going to model it. So in the data modeling side, my aim is to have filters on top and the fact information at the bottom. So I'm just going to load this file. So let's see, open Excel file. Let me close this first, and yes, yes. Okay, I have this one here. I'm going to click on this. Okay, so it's coming up. Okay, so usually you can load it. However, in this case, I'm going to directly go to transform because I know I have to do some kind of alteration or shaping the data. So end of the day, it should be a clean data for you to do your modeling. So yeah, so there are like different ways, like you can kind of have a look at it in terms of there is an option where you can just right click and change all the data types, but again it's better for you to learn. So like so you I can see it's a project name is data type text, that's fine, and with based on this icon I can figure out what are those data types. So you can see this one here. Okay, and one second. Okay, so you can also see the data types from here, that's all fine. And okay, looks good, all A, B, C. Okay, so you can also see there's some maybe null values. So yeah, so it's always recommended like to not have any null values. So this one column, so I think the entire column. So uh, let me just remove this for now. So it's pretty easy. So just go and uncheck this one. Okay, that looks good. And okay, so it's a very compared to like clean data. And what's happening here? Okay, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Okay, that's good. Okay, so I'm going to just upload it. Okay, so it's been uploaded. So I'm going to my model view. Okay, so I have only one table. Okay, and it's a very simple table. And as I always recommend, you should have a date table as well. So I have done another video. So I'm going to stop and load it, and I'm going to come back with the date table. Okay, so I loaded the dimension table, and I'll just come here. Okay, so I have dim date and the fact table. I'll rename the fact table as well. Okay, so one key thing is like which table will be your primary connector with the date. So I'm just thinking like depends upon the business. So because report date is, I think it's more the when it was reported. So for now, I'll just link it to start date, and you might have cases where you have to write a DAX, and this connection of the date table date column and the fact table start date may not be sufficient, so you can use the use relationship formula in DAX to create that connection. So DAX is powerful to override any uh, like a linkage like this. So the key thing what I'm trying to do here is to keep the dimensions on top and the fact at the bottom. So by looking at this itself, I can say, yes, I'm going to filter or select a particular year or select a particular month or a quarter, and I should be able to see the fact table filtered through that one. Okay, so now since this is a flat file, so I'm going to like create some dimension tables from the fact file. So let me go to my file. Okay, so this is my file. So again, if you're doing it from the scratch and you have only one fact table and it's like a very big table, so it's always better to create a model and always use the fact source to generate your column. So what I'm trying to say is like, say for example, as I mentioned earlier, I want to filter based on the issues, risk, and okay, I think risk and mitigation should be in one place. So it depends. Like what I'm trying to do here is I'm looking at can I group these similar data or similar columns in one table. Okay, so that will have that connection. So you should have a like a ID, so like a risk ID, and that ID should have other information. So in this case, we don't have a lot of other information. But I'm going to show a very simple case to create a dimension table. So in this case, it will be just one column, but you can understand the concept. So what I'm trying to show here is from a flat table, you can create your dimension. So one simple way to do that is just will take risk. So right click on this and add as a new query. Okay, so what this is doing is it's only bringing in that particular column as a new query and it's creating a list. And you can just click on convert to a table. Yeah, okay, and then you have to remove the duplicates. Okay, so then you can rename this one. So we'll call it as, okay, it's already here. So I'm going to call it as dim risk. Okay, and risk, I just put risk for now. Let's see what happens. Okay. So I'm going to apply this. Okay, so I'm going to come to the model again. Okay, so it has loaded. So if I come here, okay, and if I click on the risk dim table, so where did that flow? Yes, yes, yeah. Come on. Okay, so I have my second dimension. The first dimension was the dim date, and this one. Okay, so here we don't have a risk ID. So what ideally will happen is like you will have a in fact table. Okay, so you should reduce the number of columns and convert the text category into a ID. So again, as a best practice, it depends on your file size and those kind of things. So um, in this case, like I'm not going to do that one, but if you really need, you can do that one. So I'm going to just drag and drop this, and you can see it's going to create that connection. Sweet. Okay, so I'm going to collapse this. So this risk is connected. So whenever I select a particular item, so we had four groups. I click on one particular group, so the entire fact table will be filtered for that particular group. Okay, so similarly, I'm going to show one more example about creating another one. So if you come here, and so again, the reason is like, say for example, if a new risk has been added or new category is been added, so this dimension table will automatically have that new category. You don't have to do anything manually. You don't have to remember doing that one. So that's the biggest advantage. And I'm going to do, okay, I'm going to create a table. Yeah, that's a very good example. So say like you have a new project manager and he's not in the list, so you can do that one. And so usually you'll have a user table. So the user table will have team manager, etc. But in this case, like I'm not sure whether they are related. Like the project owner is hierarchically related to the project lead. So I'm going to just bring this one and do the same thing. Click on Add Query and click on Convert to Table and give OK and remove duplicates. Okay, so I'm going to say dim user. Okay, so again, in like a proper model, you will have more details. So I'm going to rename this as project project owner. Okay, I think that was the, yep. So you have 39 people there. Okay, I just want to check the project owner. Yeah, that's fine, project owner. Okay, so I'm going to close and apply and wait. Okay, so we have a dim user and we have the project owner. So earlier I showed you how I link it, so you can just drag and drop. Mostly like when your data, like number of tables becomes more, so you can just click on manage relationship. So I find it much more like easier and useful because I'll show you why. So you click on new table and the same thing with data set, I always try to have the dimension on top. So in this case, I'm going to link dimension user with the project owner with the fact thing, and we also have a project owner here. And always remember like the data type on this one on top and also at the bottom should be same. And always the best practice to have one-to-many relationships. So you click on John and it will filter all the project that John is doing. And it's only a single filter, which is fine. And I'm going to click OK. So this is another way of creating the relationship. Yeah. Okay, that looks fine. Let's see what happened. Yeah, that's cool. So, so now like I learned that it's much more beneficial when you like have your model like this, and by looking at this itself, like I can create my story, like saying that okay, I know the risk, so I can just like click on a particular risk. It will give me the number of projects. It will give me like who's the owner with a high risk, and if I click on the owner, it will show me like what kind of risk they are like facing. So it's like so much easier when your model is like this, because when you write your DAX, it's so much easier. Like if you understand this concept, it's so much easier for you to like write your formulas. And when you get work on like complicated formulas, then it will be like so much useful because you know how your data is going to talk to each other, or the tables are going to talk to each other. So again, this is a very simple case. Like there are like cases where you have multiple fact table, the direction of the relationship might be bidirectional, and you'll have to like work on multiple like complicated cases. However, it's very important that you practice with the basics, and as you when you feel comfortable, you can go to the next step. So okay, so this looks good, and so I'm just going to like do very simple visualization. Okay, so how do I do that? So I usually have a PowerPoint, and before even like starting with these things, my best practice is to talk to your user, the end user, not even the interim person. So if you can talk to that person, it's so much beneficial because they might have something in their mind, and you have the data now, and you can ask them, I have the data, and what is that you want to see in your report? Okay, so in this case, like the user wants to see what is the count of the project and what are the different risks associated with it and who are the different project leaders. So it's a very simple requirement. So I'm going to try and create a visual for them. Okay. Okay, so I have created a kind of a background image, and I usually have them like create in the PowerPoint, then I'll just bring that one. So this is to give you like a framework, and you can also have different frames so that so but in general, like I prefer to have the page navigation on the left, and on here you can use the top bar or the header bar for your heading and having some um, icon. So it depends, like if you want to have something at the right hand side, you can still do that one. So again, at this stage, I don't know what kind of filter the customer wants, so which we can usually add later. So this is a very good starting point. And what else do we need? So yeah, so again, before I start, I'm going to create some basic measures. So I use the tabulator 3. Okay, so I'm going to create a measure folder. Okay, so just say key, let's say 0 key measure. Okay. So why I do that? Because I can organize my measures into that particular table, and I will come here and create my just first measure. Let's see what happens. So I'll say like count, count. Okay, so and I'll just say count, count, and my references. Okay, project name. So I'm going to count the project names. I'm just going to type like this, and I'll get the project name. Yep, and I'm going to press Ctrl S, and it will save the measure into my model, which is pretty cool. Okay, so you can see here my measures coming. So I'm going to delete this column. Then what will happen is it will recognize that particular key measure table as a like a measure group. So let me see what's happening. Yeah, it's happening. Okay, so once that particular column has been deleted, you can see like the icon has changed from a table view to a kind of a calculator icon. So I I always like have learned by experience that it's good to segregate your measures. You'll create measure that you may not use later, so it's good to have it. So and always like when you write your measure, try to like think of the name that you might see in the visual. So you might think, oh, I'll rename it later, but if you're if you're doing a lot of reports, it will be a lot of yeah, you'll waste a lot of time just renaming stuff. Then also you'll not know where you use that particular measure. So yeah, that's fine. So as I said, like I prefer to use Tablet Editor 3. I started using Tablet Editor 2, which is good, but again I find Tablet Editor 3 much more useful, especially with managing the measures. So that's fine. So now I'm going to do a very simple visual. So let's bring the visualization pane. Okay, these are very simple things that most of you are completely aware, but again I'm just showing some of the best practice. And once you have some of your reports, like you don't have to like, I rather like copy the data and just bring that in. So we have this one. So this is what I was talking about, like dimmed it. So if you want to see the uh, thing based on this a big year and month. I'll go month and year. Let's try this one. Okay, so I have the count, and I'm going to bring in first the date. Let's see how does it look. Okay, so it's spread across the year, so I just want to see it by month. So I'm going to bring month name on top, and so yeah, that should be fine. So yeah, month's name on top. So this is by month. I'm going to remove date just to get a high level view. Okay, yeah, this looks good. So I have the project count by month. I'm just going to park it here. And you can do all sorts of things, like if you want to see a trend and those kind of things, that it's up to you. So those are very trivial things, basic information. And but the key thing is like I'll bring in some filters. So the user said like who is the project manager, then I'll bring this as a filter here. Again, uh, you can just use it from your other reports, and yeah, it takes a while to like even to color code and write the heading and other stuff. But however, um, for me, like those are very important thing to make it easy for the customer to kind of, yeah, so the look and feel. So I always like write the title so that I can bring it to the middle. Sorry, honor, and I'll just put it in the middle. And yeah, that looks good. So you can do all sorts of other things. So, and now I just need to click on this and remove the slicer header. That's fine. Okay, so I have the this one. So if you have a long list, like I would suggest, like either have a search option so that they can search for a particular name. So it's so much easier. So I use this at a lot. And so now I need to create a similar filter for the risk. So I just copy this, Control C, Control V, and you have it here. Did I do that? No. Okay, just hold on. Okay, so I have copied the uh, the visual again. So I'm just going to replace this with the risk. Okay, and yeah, I just need to change the title. So just go here and update the title. Sorry. Yeah, one thing I found is like even here you can go Windows and this key, and you can make it like you can type what you're looking for. Risk. There's no icon for risk. So like danger. Yeah, yeah, this is good. So you can either like, yeah, just for fun, like just to add some flavor to your this one, so you can do like this. And yeah, don't use the skeleton thing here. Okay, that's good. So you can do a lot of like design things. I'm not getting into that one. So the idea is like you have this data, and apart from that, what else we can show in this very simple thing. So I'll go to my fact and see like what. Okay, so there is a relationship between risk and mitigation. So I want to see uh, those information. So okay, so again, this is count. So I'm just going to bring in mitigation here, and yeah, okay, so I'm going to bring the count into this one as well. Okay, so you can see, yeah, you can see this. Okay, and if it's like if you have only four or less, this one you can still use pie chart, but again, I'm not a big fan of it. Um, yeah, so but some cases you can use. So this looks good. Again, the color coding, yeah, is very different. So I will go and kind of change the code. So implemented it will be green. My color codes are so bad here. No? Okay, so make it green or blue, and none. I don't know what is none. So for me, that's not a good thing. So I'll just put something should be checked there, and review, which is looks fine. Okay, I'll make this none, as red because for me, until you know what it is, I can't keep it in green or blue. So I want some attention there. So which is fine, and updated looks good for me. So as an analyst or as a manager, I'll kind of use this kind of color coding. So this kind of will give an indicator. Okay, I need to look for the none. So what is happening with none? So this is the cool thing, no? Like you can bring in like a filter here, but however, I would say like because I have it on the visual, I don't need it. So again, it depends on the user. So again, we don't have border for these things. I'm going to view and just to add a border, I'm going to go here and edit, customize the theme, and it's going to bring up the visual and yeah, visual and the border. So I'm going to click on and radius, that's fine. And color, I'm going to have a light color. Okay, that should do for now. Okay, so this looks much better. And today I learned that we can do radius this. I usually do it for each visual. So this kind of gives a little bit more like a soft edge. So that's a very standard thing that I use in my report. Um, so again, as I said, like you can do more things into this one. So it's a very simple case, and yeah. So I'm not getting into DAX and other stuff, but again, I hope like the key thing that I want to share here was with one fact file we can do the data modeling and like so most of the case, like you'll have the same file coming into your system or through email, so you can just put all this file in one folder and do this one. So I have done a lot of reports like that, which I use Power Automate as well to getting those information. So I hope like this kind of helped you to like do kind of like how you can do the modeling and some best practices that I shared in this particular simple case study. I hope you like my video, and if you have any particular thing, I love to share my best practices, and I think it will be beneficial for others as well. Thank you very much and have a nice day.